Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Newsroom. I'm Chella Smith. This is your Middle East U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I air on Fridays. I bring you the latest on reforms and economics of Iraq based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. I do this weekly review, and it's based off my interests. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Last week, we spoke about e-payments, banking operations, cross-border transactions, the private sector, border exports, and energy. Let's take a look at this week's headlines. And there's a lot going on in Iraqi parliament. The Parliamentary Finance Committee in Baghdad has announced the hosting of the governor of the central bank, Ali Al-Alaq, to discuss important files. The committee, led by Antoine Al-Atwani, began the session. The Parliamentary Finance Committee met with the Central Bank of Iraq to discuss strategies to boost the value of the Iraqi dinar. The committee, led by Antoine Al-Atwani, emphasizes the importance of following up with economic files and monetary policy, finding solutions to obstacles, and coordinating with the central bank to increase the dinar value, control the markets, alleviate citizens, and address the deficit. The central bank governor reviewed economic and monetary aspects, recommending the establishment of basic rule for monitoring remittance and analyzing monetary operations. The committee also considered amending the central bank's law. And the chairman of the Iran-Iraq Joint Chamber of Commerce has expressed interest in expanding monetary and banking relations between Iran and Iraq. He stated that there are no issues in banking and monetary interactions between the two countries, and that the two central banks are pursuing agreements. The Central Bank of Iraq announced that the Bank Milli Iran will continue in Iraq, highlighting the potential for enhanced bilateral trade and economic activity between the two countries. Oh, how I wish I was on vacation. The Sudanese government has consulted with the Minister of Finance and the governor of the central bank and has made 3 decisions. Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani has made 3 decisions regarding government debts and non-performing private sector loans during a meeting with the Minister of Finance, the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, and advisors. The meeting discussed issues related to the government's banking sector and non-performing private sector loans. Al-Sudani has directed the Ministry of Finance to repay government debts to the Trade Bank of Iraq and prepare a plan for the Council of Ministers to repay non-performing loans owned by the private sector to the government bank. He also formed a joint committee to study expired credits to return funds to the public treasury. And the U.S. State Department has renewed Iraq's exemption from Iranian sanctions for the 21st time. The U.S. State Department has renewed Iraq's exemption from compliance with sanctions imposed by Washington on Iran, allowing Baghdad to purchase energy from Tehran. This comes with the context of several exemptions granted by Washington to Baghdad for 120 days to keep the country provided significant electricity. The exemption, which expires on the end of this month, has been renewed for the 21st time. The money earned from selling electricity to Iraq is not allowed to enter Iran, and the money is kept in restricted accounts for nonprofit transactions. The U.S. aims to move Iraq away from relying on Iran for electricity, as these exemptions do. Iraq has made significant progress on the path towards achieving energy sufficiency since 2020, reducing the imports of Iranian energy by more than half over the past decade and doubling in electricity energy generation. The U.S. will continue to work with Iraq in their attempts to become independent in the field of energy. And a Baghdad delegation discussing Washington's strategy for communications and information technology in Iraq. The Media and Communication Commissioner has announced that the president met with the delegation of the World Bank experts to discuss Iraq's strategy for communications and information technology. The meeting took place on the sidelines of the World Bank Digital Summit in 2024 in Washington. The meeting discussed efforts of Iraq to accelerate digital transformation and spread digitalization in various government sectors. The meeting also also discuss projects and programs adopted by Iraq within its digital strategies, such as infrastructure development and legislation of law and support digital transformation. The meeting also discussed ways the World Bank can support development of Iraq's communication strategy. The World Bank Digital Summit 2024 aims to explore opportunities, accelerate digital transformation, review government development realities, and unveil the latest technology and scientific vision of innovation, communication, and digital transformation. And this next story might sound a bit familiar. Iraq's economic advisor, Mauser Mohammed Shaleh, has revealed volumes of the country's gold reserves at the Central Bank of Iraq. He emphasizes the distinction between commercial gold, which is fundamentally imported, and cash gold, which is an integral part of the country's foreign reserves. Cash gold falls within the diversification of investment portfolio of the Monetary Authority, and its figures indicates that it is more than 132 tons of cash gold within the safe range of the country's foreign reserves. Commercial gold is regulated by a law and instructed subjects to commercial regulation and gold labeling laws. The responsibility for the Central Agency for Standardization and Quality Control. Local markets in Baghdad are experiencing an increase in gold prices, with the price of selling a gram of weight reaching 465,000 Iraqi dinars. Economist Saleh Nouri explains that the demand for gold jewelry is due to the increased demand for it, which is likely due to citizens saving in gold instead of the dollar. A source familiar with Euphrates News suggests that the rise in gold prices is due to the weak citizen confidence in banks, leading them to withdraw their deposits and focus on gold. And the final joint statement on the security mechanisms and meetings between Iraq and Turkey outlines the intensification of work on adopting a memorandum of understanding to establish a strategic framework for relations. The two sides agreed to work in coordination manner with a result-oriented approach in areas such as counterterrorism, trade, agriculture, energy, water, health, and transport. They stressed the importance of Iraq's political unity, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. The PKK organization considers the security threat by both countries was also discussed. Turkey welcomed the Iraqi National Security Council decision to consider the PKK as an organization in Iraq and consulted on measures against the organization and its banned extensions. The two sides also discussed challenges faced by the region, particularly the war and genocide in Gaza, and discussed ways to support Palestinian causes. And in conclusion, the two sides agreed to continue meetings and contracts on issues within relevant frameworks. And an article by the Jerusalem Post media line has blown the internet up this week, reporting Iraq's ruling coalition may call for early elections, with Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani having the highest approval rate of 51%, according to polls by the Iraqi Statistic Organization. Iraq's ruling coalition plans to call for early elections to overthrow Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, who is part of the Coordination Frameworks Alliance of the Shiite party loyal to Iran. Al-Sudani has changed his approach and disagrees with many of the party's political positions. The coalition has been meeting for 5 months and plans to call for early elections in 2024, early 2025, saying that the Iraqi government is considering changing the official cost of the US dollar to 132 Iraqi dinars instead of 1320 dinars, which could significantly increase al-Sudani's popularity, you think? The plan is to attack the prime ministers, belittle his achievements, and bring him down popularity, creating more political and economic problems. The source noted that 2 previous Iraqi prime ministers lost their positions after the Iraqi public turned against him. The party feels that al-Sudani may announce the formation of the new political party in alliance, run in the upcoming elections, and become ruler political majority in Iraq. Now, despite between the coordination framework and al-Sudani related to the prime minister's approval of the U.S. Federal Reserve's policy to prevent currency smuggling, this reduced the circulation of U.S. dollars in Iraq and increased the price of the dollar. Al-Sudani implemented severe policies that have boosted his popularity, such as increasing government salaries and wages for retirees, launching major development projects, improving infrastructure, and expanding the nation's road network. Al-Sudani has spun many political allies and opponents, including former Speaker of Parliament Mohammed al-Halbousi and the most of the leaders of popularity mobilization forces. The Iraqi government is currently weighing the questions of changing the currency so that the official cost of the US dollar, 132 Iraqi dinars instead of 1320 dinars. And according to the report, the Dawa party claims only its cadres can run the state, but this is not true. The parliament is discussing a new election law, and the new election may be called after it's passed. Iraqi Prime Minister al-Sudani has faced criticism on Iraqi television, with some channels exaggerating negative aspects on the decision. However, he defended his achievements and said Iraq is making an unprecedented renaissance. Former professor of political science Mohammed al-Bufaf believes that the current political climate is due to al-Sudani's attempt to fracture the coalition. And Newsroom would like to hear your thoughts in regards to this juicy gossip in regards to the Iraqi exchange rate given by the Jerusalem Times. Would this change your financial status? Do you think that the 132 is a fair rate, or should you see higher with like something closer to 322? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And you've been watching Newsroom Weekly Review. I'm Chella Smith with your Middle East, U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics of Iraq. I bring you the latest in our news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. I'm here on YouTube every Friday. I'm on Patreon daily. So don't forget to subscribe and turn those notification bells on. If you like my content, you can give me a thumbs up. If you really like my content, you can always seed a super chat or a super thanks in the comment section below. Again, thank you for being a subscriber, and thank you for visiting Newsroom Chella Smith for your trusted Dinar News. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend out there. I'm going to do a little bit of planting. I got my greenhouse up and I'm super excited. Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care. Make sure you join us Fridays, 4 p.m. with Newsroom Updates with Chella Smith Entertainment News.